what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. I've got a couple of interesting stories for you guys today. We are less than 1 week away from the 2024 Arnold Classic South America. And now we've got the official competitor list for that show as of today. So there are a couple things here that changed from what we thought this lineup was going to be. So in men's open bodybuilding, you've got Rafael Brandao, Tonio Burton, Andre Carlau, John De La Rosa is actually doing this show. I actually wasn't sure if he was going to do it or not. He could be a pretty big factor here. You've got Vitaly Good Vito, a.k.a. Vitaly Ugonikov, a.k.a. Good Vito. This is actually interesting because this is the first time I've ever seen somebody's Instagram handle as their name on an official IFBB competitor list. I thought that was kind of weird, and they spelled his first name wrong, Vitaly. But you've also got Jonathan Emmanuel Padilla Gonzalez, Alan Ramiro Bondaman, Jefferson Santos de Oliveira, Del Vision Texera, and William Martins is actually doing the show. So he's also doing the Detroit Pro, but he's also doing the Arnold Classic South America. So a couple interesting things here. Obviously, you guys probably noticed by now that Carlos Thomas Jr. is not on this list. Now, Carlos Thomas's dad, Carlos Thomas Sr., announced, I think a day ago, that Carlos actually pulled out of this show because of a recent death in the family. So definitely thoughts and prayers with Carlos. It's really unfortunate that we don't get to see him do this show, but I totally understand. He's a guy that I've really, really been excited to see back on stage. Just imagining his physique with improved conditioning. But obviously, I'm very sorry for his loss, and I hope that we still get the opportunity to see Carlos on stage at some point in 2024. Now, Good Vito also being on this list. Good Vito actually posted a picture in Brazil with Flex Lewis. Now, even though he's from Russia, he is currently living in Brazil. I think he's got his citizenship there now because he just had a baby with his, I guess now wife, who is from Brazil. So he is living there, but he's another guy that kind of like Carlos Thomas Jr., I was wondering whether or not we're actually going to see him compete because there was a couple shows last year that he said he was going to do. He said his goal last year was to get to the Olympia, and because of visa issues, he never did any of those shows, didn't make it to the Olympia, had a major surgery at the end of the year, had a baby at the end of the year. So I was kind of wondering if he was still going to do this show because he seems to have been a little bit wishy-washy with the past shows. But it looks like he's there at the show to take this picture with Flex Lewis, who is there at the show. His name is on the competitor list as of the week of the show. I think we are going to actually get to see him make his pro debut here, and we are going to see him compete. So I'm excited about that. Good Vito is a guy that I think could be very dangerous in this lineup. So I'm excited for the Arnold Classic South America. Let me know what your guys' predictions are for the top three and who you think is going to win this show based on this lineup. And we're going to talk a little bit more about some of the guys that are competing here. But in Classic Physique, I want to go through the Classic Physique list here because we're not seeing really any of the bigger names. We know that Urs has already announced he's not doing it. He originally was going to. And Wesley is also not doing it. So you've got Fabiano Andrade, William Sereno de Arujo, Daniel de Mata, Andre Luis dos Santos, Breno Roberto, Ayuterio Pereira, Alfonso Emmanuel Licht, Daniel Alejandro Galindo Garvido, Fabio Junio, Livingston Lavino, Luis Chico, Alan Mendez, and William Santoro. So we're probably going to have a breakout star at this show. No Ramon, no Breon, no Wesley, no Urs. So there will be a new Arnold Classic champion at the South America show, not Wesley winning back-to-back like he did with the UK and the US. So with that being said, we did get a recent update from Tonio Burton, and I think this Tonio looks shockingly impressive in this update. And the thing about Tonio is while he's not the biggest bodybuilder in this lineup, he comes from 212. He's a little bit shorter, maybe significantly shorter than some of the guys in this lineup like Raphael, but he's extremely complete. He's got a really round 3D look to his physique, especially he's got these crazy delts, shoulders, chest. This is really round 3D look, really small waist, really chiseled abs. He's been bringing really consistently good conditioning lately. And as I've mentioned before, highest Olympia placer in this lineup with the 8th place finish in 2023. He's got a New York Pro victory, which he's also going to be defending at the 2024 New York Pro this year's. He won last year's. A lot of momentum for Tonio. And looking at this update, I think this might be the best he's looked so far. He's made pretty rapid improvements from year to year because I believe the prior year Olympia, so 2022, he was tied for last place, which was 16th, and then a tie with however many guys were also 16th. And he moved all the way up to 8th this year. So he's a really impressive bodybuilder. I've talked about before how I've seen a lot of people in the comment sections make comparisons between his physique and Dexter Jackson's. And I actually do totally see that. And obviously, that's a lofty comparison. Dexter Jackson's an Olympia champion. He's won the Arnold multiple times. He's won more shows than any other bodybuilder in history. But there are some strong similarities in their physiques, especially with the stature, kind of the structure, the midsection. We could see an upset here. Because I know that right now, it's got to be Rafael that's the favorite. This is his hometown show. He's in Brazil. He's Brazil's essentially best open bodybuilder. He had an incredible showing at the Arnold Classic, Ohio. I'm sure there's a lot of fans that are expecting him to win. But Tonio Burton really looks dangerous here. And even though he is the on-paper favorite to win, I think it would still be an upset if he did because of all the things I mentioned about Rafael. But I like to talk about Tonio because I really think he deserves his props. I don't think he gets as much props as he deserves. He's not as talked about. He's not as well known. He's not as big of a name. But there's a strong possibility he can win this thing. And the only thing that jumps out to me is Tonio as being kind of a flaw. And this could just be because I've got Hadi Chupin fresh on my mind from winning both Arnold Classics, is when you look at his chest, even though it's pretty clear that Tonio's in really good shape, you still don't really see those deep striations in the chest like if you looked at Hadi, you would. But obviously not everyone's going to have Hadi Chupin level conditioning. That's kind of the one thing, though, that jumps out to me. And it could be, maybe it's the tattoos. I just look at his chest, and you can tell, like I said, he's in great condition. You just don't see those really deep striations and fibers in his chest. But maybe, we still got a few days for him to dry out and get the water out. But the bottom line is, I think that Tonio looks phenomenal here. Let me know what you guys think. Do you think he has a chance at winning the show? Now, next up in the news, we got another physique update from Angel Calderon Frias, a 212 bodybuilder that sometimes dabbles in the open class. He's looking to make waves at the New York Pro this year, where he's going to have to face the likes of Tonio Burton and Nick Walker. But honestly, Angel has a really impressive physique, even though he's a smaller guy from 212. Ton of muscle, crazy conditioning, top 3 Olympian. This is the latest update. I can really see a scenario where he's in a call-out with Nick and Tonio. He's already won an open show back in 2021, the Big Man Weekend, and obviously wasn't as competitive as a lineup as this is, because you've got Nick Walker here, who's a top 3 open Olympian. You've got Tonio Burton, a top 8 open Olympian. If Angel is able to do well here and beat either of those two guys, it's huge. And if he really brings the conditioning here, I don't think it's impossible. I'm not saying I think it's likely, but I don't think it's impossible. 212 guys are really having a moment right now in men's open bodybuilding. Think about how many guys from 212 were in the top 10 of the Olympia this year. The winner and the runner-up were both former 212 guys, Hadi and Derek. Both Mr. Olympia champs, Tonio Burton obviously in that conversation. We really can't count out these 212 guys. Just because they're a little shorter, they come over from 212, and even though it's a little bit more recent for Angel, we saw how quickly Derek was able to make that transition from 212 to being a fully open bodybuilder, and I think that's important because if Derek can do it that quickly, what's to say a guy like Angel couldn't? Because in some of these guys' cases, 212 is holding them back because they can only weigh a certain weight on stage, and some of them have to sacrifice muscle and fullness to be able to do that. And for some of these guys, maybe a guy like Angel that's got a ton of muscle on his frame is one of those guys that it hurts his physique, and he does better in open. So I'm expecting to see a battle there. Now, speaking of 212, Keone Pearson. I talked to Keone a couple nights ago when I made that last video about his guest posing appearance at the Milo Sarcev Torture Gym. Now, Keone sent me another update because Keone wasn't really happy with that update. He wasn't happy with the angle. He wasn't happy with how he looked. So he sent me an update that he filmed. And he says he weighs 229 pounds here. Obviously, The subject of criticism in the last video was his midsection, even though I do think Keone is one of the best at controlling his midsection, making it almost completely disappear in some of the mandatory poses, all of the mandatory poses. It really only looks kind of bloated in the transitions. So I wanted to share with you guys the update that Keone texted me, because I do think it's more impressive than the one that we saw from Milos in Torture Gym. And similar to what we're seeing with Angel, what we saw from Derek, what we saw from Hottie, what we saw from Tonio, I want to see Keone eventually make a move to open. He actually won the 212 Olympia, and Angel was third place behind him last year. So if these guys do well and can do well and have proven they can, I see no reason why a 212 Olympia champ like Keone couldn't do the same thing. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, click that bell notification icon, and as always, I love you guys, appreciate you guys. Nick Strength and Power, signing out. Alright guys, don't forget to click that like button and subscribe to this channel if you enjoy the content. Also check out my Instagram at NICKS&P, my Facebook page, which is simply Nick Strength and Power, my secondary YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Vlogs, for vlogs and bonus content that you will not see on this channel, and consider subscribing to my third YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Pokemon, which is all things Pokemon and trading card games, completely unrelated to this channel. So if you're into that, give that one a look, and all links to merchandise and social media will be in the description box below. If you guys want a Nick Strength and Power t-shirt, that will be in the Shopify link below. Have a great day.